what do you wish you saved? It was never like about the house. It was always a memory. Like, a violin my dad gave me when I was 7. My, like, cheerleading sweater when I was like in high school. My dad was like, he had a whole archive about like, his work, and like I was writing a movie about him and I lost all the archives and I didn't scan them. So I'm like, I want that scan. So it was like my art, like people lost art.
Hey everybody, it's Patrick Merrill selling the beautiful coast down here on Mississippi. I have Marija Volkman with me from Los Angeles, I believe. Is that true? Is that right?
Correct. Yes.
Awesome. What we got a little thunder or tropical storm going past us out here in the Gulf today. What kind of weather y'all have? I'm sure it's probably beautiful there.
It's good. I mean, that's one thing we don't talk about. Like, we don't have the weather talks because it's always good,
Yeah, definitely. I've been out there once. And it's beautiful. Well, a couple times. I went to LA one time for my 50th birthday. I was hoping to get back out there this year, but maybe next year. It's so pretty. We drove Highway 1 from the Santa Monica Pier to the Golden Gate Bridge. It took 2 days doing that drive. It's absolutely beautiful.
That's the favorite part of California there. Like Big Sur, definitely the prettiest.
I was just amazed. And like I said, I didn't realize California had so much farmland.
We do. Yeah, a lot.
Miles and miles. It's the first time I'd ever seen a portlet toilet in the middle of a field. I was like, I never thought about that. I guess that makes sense.
Yeah, we have a lot of agriculture. I mean, we are feeding a lot of people, right? And also, there is in the north, there is also a lot going on, which nobody talks about, and we don't go past San Francisco, right? That's like the other half of California, that there is a lot of going on, and like people are like farming and so on. But like we definitely have a lot of farmland. We have everything. Like we have the ocean, we have the mountains, we have the desert, we have surfing, skiing, beautiful parks. Amazing weather. No wonder everybody wants to live here. No wonder it's so expensive.
It's beautiful. I mean, I go to Lake Tahoe. I've been there about 3 times, I think. That area out that way is just, it's almost like being in a state park. Everything's in its place. The trash is taken care of. They have, and of course, we don't have to deal with bears here on the coast, but I was laughing at the garbage cans because I never put that in my head how they would have to secure them to keep the bears out. That's not, we'll deal with the puppy every now and then trying to get our cans over, but most of the time it's just so different. I was looking at it.
Yeah, sorry, I was on Lake Tahoe once and we were staying in the house and I had a dog. The dog was at the back of on the terrace and the dog started like freaking out, barking. And actually the bear was like walking between the buildings. Like, I have never seen a bear that close. I've had camping, seen the bear before, but the bear was like, he was huge. He was huge.
It's amazing,
On inside, right? Like, you're not camping, stop.
I live about an hour and a half, 2 hours away from a spot in Florida, Navarre and Destin area. And every now and then they will have a black bear go through there. And there's a video out there where somebody pictured it in the salt water swimming off the beach. I'm like, that's just crazy. It's amazing.
It's huge. I don't know why I thought the bear is smaller. I don't know. Like I've seen them in the zoo, but like I have never seen them in the nature. And I was like, why is this animal so huge? And like, stop yelling,
Right.
Like, it's just like going through and then I talked to the neighbor and neighbor is like, yeah, like, and if you run into him, just like take whatever you have and put it above your head. I was like, you want me to find the bear? He's like, no, he's going to go away. Like, there's a family there of bears. They're like, there's a little bear. Like, please, like we're not going to, he's like, don't worry about it. Like, they're so chill about it. I was like, I am not.
The one, I talked to a bartender out at, I think it was Hard Rock, was in Lake Tahoe, the Hard Rock Casino. And he told me that him and his daughter is like, he said something like his wife had passed away and he was raising his daughter. And it was just like, it was so weird because this mama and this baby bear started coming up. And it was like, and the daughter, it was just, because it's kind of like, trying to get her out of that, just to make her feel good, you know, because she hadn't been happy with everything the daughter was going through and the husband. Well, it was so funny when he told me the story. He said they come up every so often, you know, and they will let my daughter pedal. I'm like, that just is amazing to me, you know.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's just wow. Well,
we had that thing. I mean, like when it comes like we live with wildlife in LA too. I mean, we have coyotes walking in the streets. We had a construction site in my when I moved to US, and there was a construction site in the hills. I mean, I wasn't present. That was a story that got into the office. They took the client in the hills. There was in Santa Barbara, there was a lot in the hills, and she had a little dog with her, and she went to a construction site to show her. And she let this little dog out and to walk around. And the GC told her please don't do that. Keep the dog, wild animals, we don't know what's going to happen. As she let the dog out and they're talking about it, she's like, no, he's fine. The hawk comes down, grabs the little dog, takes the street and starts plucking him. The dog is yapping, and it's she was I don't know if they finished the house. I don't know what happened. But they came from the construction site with this story. I'm like, oh my God.
Please tell me she got the puppy.
No, the puppy was gone. No, I mean, the hawk took the puppy to the tree and started into. I'm I don't know I've seen. I've seen the hawk do that by this. You can see them in LA. Catch an animal, and then on the side of the road while I'm going up Mulholland or somewhere, there is a hawk on the side of the road, getting into the animal. And I'm but to my kids,
don't look. Well, yeah, and those hawks, their claws are huge.
We have hawks,
I think about that because when they were really small, and a neighbor warned me about the hawks, and so I didn't ever think about that. Of course, so he told me about they'll swoop down and grab those puppies up quick.
Yeah,
that's
coyotes will grab the cats. We don't let the cats out. You have to watch. You would think it's an urban area, but we have so many parks within LA, hiking trails and hills and so on. So things do crawl down, and we crawl back to the mountains too. But it's a thing. We like to hike, but it's an interesting living in LA. Living with the nature that much, and just kind of having hills there. Having all this wild animals, it's very interesting.
It is. I mean, like I said, the whole time we were driving, I was stuck to the window looking. I was I didn't want to miss nothing because, like you said, you had a mountain on one side of you and a cliff on the other side. I was so glad to be on that side of the highway. I would not want to be coming back on the outside of it. So, Deborah,
no.
How long have you lived here? How long have you been here?
It's been 19 years.
Okay.
16 and a half. I married an American journalist that lived in Europe for a long time, 13 years. And then he wanted to come back home. So we were together for a while, and he was like, do you want to come with me? I just want to try it in Hollywood as a screenwriter, because he was over journalism and just doing publishing of magazines in Europe and doing all this stories in Eastern Europe. But I was like, okay, let's go. And then those 2 years turned into 17, so I'm still here.
That's good. That's awesome. Very good. Where are you originally from?
I'm Serbian. So Serbia is for people don't know, it's in Eastern Europe. We used to be a Yugoslavia, and then our country kind of through the bunch of wars, 3 or 4 wars, fell into 6 countries. As my mom says, she changed country 4 times and she didn't move from out of our house, right? So our Serbia was through wars, through inflation, through dictatorship, and so on. And at one point, I was done with it, and I moved to Czech Republic to finish my school, Masters of Architecture. And that's how, that kind of took me on a path of living abroad, and first in Prague for 8 years, and then meeting my husband, and then moving to US for another 18, and I'm probably not done, right? I'm probably gonna
No, you still have a long time to go.
I'm probably gonna move again once, I get my kids to college. I'm probably gonna move again, and then maybe again, and so on. It's definitely
you don't look old enough to have kids in college.
No, you're not. No, I'm 50, so almost 50. So
you don't look it. You look great.
Thank you. But kids are not gonna go to college soon. But we have another 10 years of my kids.
Well,
unfortunately.
What?
I'm with teens now, so if somebody wants to adopt some 13-year-olds, like, please let me know.
Well, I'm glad you're here, and I'm glad you like it. Tell us a little bit about your business and what all y'all can do over there as far as designing and meeting clients. And
It's very interesting in LA now. Like, we're an architectural office. Like, we have an office in the Czech Republic where we started, and we have 2 partners there and about like a dozen people. And then we have an office here in LA. I'm the only partner here. We do share people between the offices. We have a team also in Colombia, and we do mostly in Europe. We do mostly food and beverage. We do chains. We are like a chain specialist. So basically, if you want to build a chain restaurant or you want to manage already like the chain that exists, like then you come to our doors. Like we manage like, Pizza Hut, McDonald's, Starbucks. We do that, all of that we do in Czech Republic. And then of course we develop brands, local brands. Here in LA, we do mostly high-end residential. We do a lot with private clients, but we also work with developers where developers acquire a location and they want to maximize, of course, always on their square footage, what they can build. And also they are aware that design sells, especially modern design. And they hire us, and then we basically, kind of conceptualize the whole project. We figure out, like, we talk also with real estate people, try to find out what sells and what we should get also to maximize on the investment. We also bring some materials from Europe, which we can get for better price and also like a better options. And then we help you build and at the end sell. Or if you are an individual owner, we do the same for you, except it's your home and it's a different approach. It's much more about like, feelings and like, wishes and so on rather than the return of investment. But we do both. We understand both.
Okay. Just out of curiosity, you were talking about like a restaurant like the Pizza Hut and stuff like that. It seems like since I've been talking about Katrina all day, since the COVID, does it seem like some of the restaurants are coming and ordering like less inside space because it just seems like a lot of places that have not opened back up still, like some of the play areas like at McDonald's or, some of the Hardee's, they're limited hours. So are you seeing a trend of not really having the sitting area, more of get your food and go type thing?
We saw a huge shrink of this kind of market in Europe. We do that mostly in Europe, not in LA. I can tell you also about LA, my observation in LA, but in Europe, we definitely saw a shrink of market when it comes to especially these like known chains. I think they maxed out at some point on like development, but we are not getting like that those brands are usually managed or not usually, they're managed by one company, or US brands are managed by one company in US, and we are not getting as many jobs as we used to get from them, and they're closing the restaurant. Fast food restaurant business is really good because they redesign every 5 years. There is always a refreshment. So basically, if you work with them, there is constant job for you. So it's it's a good niche to be in. But we definitely saw slowdown in getting projects, slowdown in redesign. I also think they're not as popular. Fast food restaurants are not as popular as they used to be. There's a lot of new brands. And I think people even if they go for fast food, they go for something local or something that it's kind of more funky or interesting and so on, rather than McDonald's, So, or Pizza Hut. So I think these old big chains in Europe are a little bit kind of, not doing great.
Okay. Well, I noticed here, there's some areas we have things we don't have an In-N-Out burger here. And I love In-N-Out burger. That I would love to, if I ever win a lottery, I'm opening one here.
We're cracking it.
They're so good.
I mean, I don't want to put in it. I'm don't shoot me for saying this, but they must be drugs because we're totally California is crazy for an hamburger.
Vegas, they opened that one. I think it was supposed to be the biggest one they've ever opened on that rooftop out in Vegas. I watch a lot. I go to Vegas a couple times a year and I watch a lot of the YouTubers out there. And I cannot wait to get in that one. We don't have them here. So when I would drive out that way. So I would get to Kingman, Arizona. It was the first stop where there was an In-N-Out burger. So I'd always make sure I was driving through there by 11 o'clock so I could be there, get my burger, my fries, and be set for the ride.
My In-N-Out burger in my neighborhood, because I live near where they do Oscars, like my In-N-Out burger actually had like one of the actors that won what's his name? I forgot, Michael B. Jordan, or he got an Oscar this year and he was celebrating the Oscar in In-N-Out burger. And that In-N-Out burger has a line in cars like 2 blocks around. And once I was stuck in the line, and there's another restaurant from Kevin Hart that got closed after 2 months. And I'm sitting in the car and I'm like, I found the corporate of In-N-Out burger. I was like, you need to open another location. Like, we're all stuck here in traffic.
It's amazing. See, that one I drove to out in Green Valley Ranch out in Vegas, that one, I sat there in the parking lot looking at the line of people and just amazed at how busy. But now those people, it's like them people, the employees, they loved what they did. I mean, you could tell they
get paid well. It's they don't minimum wage. They actually get really paid well. It's a good work conditions, and I think their managers are getting like $150,000 a year for the managed restaurants. And like, you will see these managers walking the floor, talking to people, or resolving issues that you would think a manager should resolve. They all have tags that says how long they're working there for. So you can see people working in and out for 30 years, which kind of gives you, again, like, it's a very well managed business, design wise. They didn't design their I think Steve Cano, no, Steve, I forgot. I think Steve Cano is the name of the architect. He died a while ago, very young, unfortunately. He designed their stuff, like, I think 25 years ago, and they did not change their design. which is the only, if you look at Starbucks redesigns stuff like every 5 years, right? They open new stores, they constantly, like, they have their own design team. In-N-Out never changed their design in the last 25 years, and they don't intend to, and nobody wants them to, which is a very, very strange, for the chains.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah. Because like you said, you'll see them redo a lot of the other chains, but now that you've said that, they don't seem like they need, like I said, most of the employees, I've talked to several of them, and they like it, and they say, they feel like they're part of the company.
Yeah. She has a really good, I think she's managing. I mean, her grandparents did the business, and then when she inherited, I think she just continued in that. I think people are really happy, and I never felt like, it was always like a really good service. It's not overly friendly, but it's like more kind of, I think the whole corporate culture is really amazing. And the food, of course, like, it's not frozen, it's real meat. It goes pretty fast considering how chaotic the place is. Like, you are not, and nobody's upset that they're waiting that much. Like, we are waiting for 10, 15 minutes in a restaurant. Everybody just like sitting there, like, okay, like trying to hunt for a place. It's not like, I feel that it's a really good business, and it's one of my favorite chains when it comes to both design, food. It's like an overall like top, like 10 out of 10 when it comes to design, to the way the layout works, to the way their kitchen is like put together, even the way they manage their, like, the way they figure out how to manage the drive-through. Well, it's very often in situations where it's really not manageable, like, it goes really quickly.
Between them and Chick-fil-A, they always have a line.
Chick-fil-A, like, I know, but like, I don't, like, I just don't appreciate the business, I think, like, and I don't like the food. But I'm like, In-N-Out is definitely like the brand that I would use as a case study if I'm presenting to my clients in terms of like what design means for the brand, like how is branding handled, how is consistent with uniforms, with logos, with colors, with everything, and how basically it's very interesting also. The design was like derived from Googie architecture, which is like very Californian, which is like, had this really weird restaurants, like, there were sometimes in the movies from 70s, we don't have them anymore. This is inspired by them. So it has that Californian architectural history in it too. So it's like the colors are bright, like primary colors. Red is like really good. So I think like everything about that chain was done perfectly, and that's why they don't have, and also they incorporated the design into their brand story, so they don't have to change. Genius. It's genius.
let me ask you this, as far as land value, I know it's got to be outrageous out there. Are you finding a lot of places wanting to develop, or are more people wanting to kind of like level and redo because they already have the land?
Well, what we do is like level and redo. So what you're doing is like you would, like, for example, one of my like recent projects was like bought for 2.9 million, for example, like location. Like it was a whole old prairie house. It was about 3,600 square feet. It was kind of spreading, like big, nice lot. 2.8 was the acquiring of the land. We knocked everything down, like everything, and built a totally new house. Like we maxed out square footage to 5,100 plus ADU in the end, so about 6,000. So we almost doubled everything, and the location was sold for 8.2 million.
Oh wow!
So this is what we are mostly doing, right? Like, it's rare that, it's rare, of course it happens, but like what we are doing is like redeveloping, especially, after the fires where there was like, we have about 10,000 homes that burn. So that means like 10,000 locations that you can build on, like with new incentives, SB9, which is like you can build two houses on one lot, like, you can build ADUs, you can intensify. People are like looking more into those opportunities of rebuilding rather than like, kind of starting from new where you have to like go through the whole process. You have some stuff grandfathered. You also have infrastructure. So it's like mostly knocking down stuff.
After the fires, would you say most people came back and want to rebuild, or did some people just say, I'm done, I'm not coming back,
Well, like the first year was very strange. Like the first year, there was a lot of grief. And I think like, us architects and general contractors and professionals, we are like, okay, we have a problem. Let's resolve it, right? Like, let's build. Like, you can do this, you can do this, you can do this. We were not really, I guess, like there was like this period of like, wait, these people are grieving. They never wanted to do this. Like they lost everything. Like, there is a story behind every burned house, like in terms of like where these people were in life. Some people, like I had people I was talking to, they're 92. There were two ladies I was talking to and they're 92 and they're like very like in good health. And they want to rebuild and they want their houses back. Although those houses were old and they didn't have much money, they were like, I'll just build what I can with the money I have, which is again, from an investment point of view, I was like, you want to maximize, but like, she doesn't have money. She wants to live at the house. So that's one story, but like, she's also 92. So, like realistically, it's going to take 3 or 4 years or 2 years minimum, between the permits and like building. Like you don't know what's going to be in 2 years with somebody who is of that age. You have families that bought houses and they were like, oh, I want to raise my kids in this amazing location. Like we have friends, we have community. And then like everything burns down. And they're like, wait, my kids are 5 and 6. Before this becomes a community again, they're going to be 15 and 16. Like, so riding bikes on the street, like, going to our place, it's really not going to work anymore for us. We have to find a place somewhere else where we can actually like, have that kind of family dream. You have people that like, bought houses like 2 years ago and never lived in them. I have a client that like bought 2 years ago, literally never built in the house. They fixed the interior. Their house burned a day after they were supposed to move in. The house was not clean enough. She decided to clean the house more. Luckily, otherwise the furniture were burned down because she was supposed to bring the furniture on Monday, and I think the fire started on Tuesday.
Oh, so my goodness.
Story is different from each family, and also like the way some people are like, they were literally like, let's go. It's like some people are like, what? I talk to people like we were actually traveling for the last 6 months, like out of our suitcases and our trunk, and we kind of like it. We might not even like rebuild. I don't know. It was like this grief process was kind of getting people like also to reconsider their life choices because like we don't have anything now. Like, okay, what do we really want to do in life? Like, do we even want to have this house? Where do we want to live? Like, we are actually remote. There are people that buy houses next door. Like, I had a guy that like do that too. He's like, oh, I have this house. He was the only one that didn't burn. Like, he was the only one that didn't burn on the lot. And I was like, what happened to this house? Because I saw some construction. I was like, oh, I had damage from rain. I was like, what do you mean? Like, I had water damage. Like, something was wrong with his roof. and conflict and ruin the house. But like so he's buying now the lot next door and he wants to build like a smaller house than it was there before because he wants to put those two lots together. So every story is really different. And it's like, the grief is different. The decisions are different. Some properties were investment properties, and others people are like, okay, how we can make this even better investment? Like what should I do? Where is this going? Is this location going to be amazing in 10 years? Can I hold on for 10 years? There's so many stories. And we are dealing with a lot of people that were not even planning on doing this. Like, usually our normal client spend like 2 or 3 years going through Pinterest, talking to friends, like imagining, dreaming, like what they want and so on. This is the people that like lost their house, like I need a house, right? They know they didn't get informed. Like there's a pressure of time, there's a pressure of neighbors, there's a pressure of like, there's a pressure of insurance to make decisions, and they're just not there yet. So it's a very peculiar situation we have in LA when it comes to rebuilding. There's also a lot of scare. Architects don't agree with the general contractors. Like the city takes forever to give you permits. Like, it's so complicated. People like there's so many problems in construction, which is like, it can all be true, but also like it doesn't have to be like that. It doesn't have to. So it's a very interesting time in LA, definitely.
It's definitely got to be stressful. I mean, because that to me, when you think about it, you're like you said, the ladies that were 92, and it's like they probably had never even thought they would go through something like this. They were probably thinking, I'm gonna stay in my house and have things set up for when I do pass. It'll go on to the family, but to think of having to start over at 92, and it wasn't like you had an option. Yeah, it's what it is. You got to do it. You can't stop. You just keep moving forward.
But then, like, it comes to their kids, because their kids will have to take care of that, right? Like, and they help construction, and then like the decision comes like, from like, what are we going to do? We have people that are well off and they're like, we're too old to do this. We actually like bought a condo and we're going to live in the condo and we're going to leave the location to our kids and they can decide what they want to do with it once we are dead. Like, I don't know. Are they going to rebuild, sell? Like, we don't care. Like, we're not going to go through that. And I was like, okay. That sounds really good for you. I'm happy for you for making the kind of decision because it's an honest decision and it's not under pressure of like making money or so on. They can afford it, right? But there are stories of people that didn't have any insurance, that they're insured that like, and what was interesting whenever I talk to people about problems that are like, because I did talk more with people, what do you miss? Like, what do you miss most from the houses? Like, because I would ask that question, like, what do you wish you saved? It was never like about the house. It was always a memory. Like, a violin my dad gave me when I was 7. My like, cheerleading sweater when I was like in high school. My dad was like, he had a whole archive about like, his work, and like I was writing a movie about him and I lost all the archives and I didn't scan them. So I'm like, I want that scan. So it was like my art, like people lost art, like, and they're not talking about clothes or like houses. They're like, I lost my art. And like, because that's something you can't get back. And sure, in some because like some art is just like very, very rare, but it doesn't have a value necessarily, like maybe like an value, but it's like very, because it was collected, like it was collected with a certain taste, it was collected over time and years, and it's like you can't like. So what I was surprised, like people were never talking about houses or like material stuff. It was always material stuff with sentimental value that people missed.
It does. I still, Katrina's been 26 years, I think, 2005. And I still think of stuff and I was like, oh, what did I do? Never mind. Katrina took it. So it's kind of like, we kind of dealt with the fires, but we had the water too down here. And it's like you said, because a lot of people, it's like, we don't have a washer and dryer anymore, and it's like, it's a big difference.
Have anything like they're just like they just left. They just like, I mean, like since I've seen like people like they shot it and they're like, well, we are leaving now, and they literally just put whatever they could in the car.
Yeah,
there are people that stayed to defend their houses and they actually succeeded. That was those stories were like,
wow.
There was a guy like I think he was in army or something. So he actually, by saving his house, he saved the whole hill under him,
Oh,
so
wow.
the fire stopped at his house because there were no firefighters. Like there was like, it was so fast. It was so windy. There was no point of firefighters actually like going up because it was so massive that it was just like, it would be too risky. And then the people like took cars and they left, like, they started leaving the hill with cars. So there was a trail like of cars, because they had to leave them. They got stuck in traffic. So it was
That's
like, it was
horrible.
very, like the whole city, like the fires were going on for 2 weeks. And they will like start randomly. I had to evacuate, like, and I live in the center of the city. I was like, I can't believe that like the Hollywood is going to burn,
Yeah.
like what the heck is going on? And also like you had a lot of crazy people. This is LA. So a lot of like, arsonists like started fires here and there, like using the opportunity and getting inspired, I guess, with what's going on to kind of start like fires. People were like, fire department was dealing with that crap too. It's like, can you take a break from this shit? Sorry. Like, which is like, can you like, I don't know, like let us deal with this and then like do your like arsonist thing, like, once like we kind of settle down, like don't add like, fuel to the fire, like, pun intended. It's like
Right?
chill. So it was like, a lot of looting, was happening too, where people were actually going to houses and trying to grab whatever they can find, although everything is burned. So people were back and defend that. It was like it was definitely turmoil. It was definitely
See,
the city.
and that's so aggravating that people will take advantage of people when they're down. They've already been kicked enough getting the house burned down, and then somebody's gonna come along. And I got to ask you this:
Yes.
so in Beverly Hills, up in the hills and stuff in those areas, have you designed up in their homes as
Yes.
well, or?
Yes. Yes. We have, and it's like, those are very special conditions. We have a Hillside ordinance, which I think I think we have it already for like 14 years and we are still figuring out how it works. I had a project where there would be like, I think I calculated there was about 200 years of experience between people on the team on the Hillside lot. And we are still trying to figure out, like, 3 meetings in, everybody has a different opinion between the soils engineer, between the structural engineer, between the architect, between the expediter that deals with the permits. Those are like really special conditions, especially that you're not dealing just with the house, but you're dealing with securing the hillside also on that location. So between the foundation and securing the hillside, that can actually eat half of your budget. Plus, you never know what's going to happen, right? Like once you buy the location without doing a really like soils and survey, really digging through the code, like you don't know what to expect, right? You already have to like invest a certain amount of money to actually, like see if the project is viable or not. So those are like special lots, but they're also like special when it comes to budgets that you need for that.
I'm going to assume in that process they're doing a lot of the samples, making sure it's packed so everything won't mudslide, 1 week after you get it framed out.
Yeah, foundations, we have to go into the rock, like, we use caissons. Sometimes you have to hand dig. Sometimes you don't have access to the lots really well. Sometimes the lots are that small that actually, like, it's a very valuable lot, but you can't build much, right? So
Okay.
like you are trying to pack and maximize, but like, I had a project where I was like able to get maybe 2,500 maximum. So like but foundation become really expensive. So like your bill per square foot becomes really, really high, and it has nothing to do with the luxury of the house that you see inside, but it's mostly in the ground or like securing the hillside because he was at the bottom of the hillside. So he had to shotcrete the whole hill. Like basically like you concrete the whole hill behind we had the retaining wall. That was all. We had to concrete the whole hill behind the retaining wall. So it's like, and that was like $500,000, for example.
I used to walk every day 3 miles down at my beach, but I haven't been able to do that because I've had some surgeries on my feet. But I started watching people walking on YouTube in different areas. So I've been watching one out there. He goes to like Bel Air and the Hollywood Hills and all that. And when you were talking about, I can imagine just getting the truck up there with the concrete has got to be a challenge when I see these people walking in those side streets and behind the houses, it's like, how did they get in there? Everything is beautiful. I mean, it's beautiful out there, but it seems so, I mean, it goes back to a different way of how people live, and it, do y'all have, and I think I asked somebody this before, but I cannot remember, as far as like mudslides, is that a separate insurance or would that all be kind of covered under one policy? Or do you have to carry, like here we have homeowners and we have a flood insurance. So I didn't know if out there, if there's such a thing for, that landslide insurance or earthquake insurance or anything.
I'm not sure about how the insurance is set up in those areas. We definitely have an earthquake insurance because that's just like, I don't even know if it works out, honestly, because like I think you just have to take a risk. So, I mean, when it comes to fires, like a lot of people were canceled from the insurance really, really was like, I mean, pretty recently, like, a couple of months before the fires. So the insurances did know that something is going to happen. So they did their little like calculations and like possibilities or probabilities and basically like realized this is a really high risk area. So I don't know how insurances work when it comes to landslide or like, how are set up, but we definitely can have a landslide here. And there was a house that actually didn't burn, but then it landslided. I went to the potential client. Their house was built in the 1930s or something. It was on the cliff and it burned down. And I'm looking at the foundation and I was like, how was this standing? It's a little block, literally this size. This is the concrete lot. And I'm talking like, now you guys have to go down to the hill. You probably need like a caseload every 10 feet. Like on the top of that, there we have a retaining wall. We have to secure your hill because you're literally right there at the edge of the canyon. Like, so we have to put retaining walls so you guys don't slide down. That has to be secured. I was like, I don't know how you were there for like 80 years on those like little blocks, literally. I was like, how is this possible? So I don't know what to tell you. Like we had quakes, we had landslides, and these houses were still there. But then also happened here, like in the last fire in Palisades, the house didn't burn, but then it got basically landslided. So I mean, it's a price of like living in locations like this. I guess some people are willing to pay it because we are rebuilding those locations. So it's not like happen, like you can still, the house burned down and you're still getting these lots for like, to go for 3 million, 5 million even. Yeah, if you get the lot for $1 million, that's pretty cheap in Palisades.
If you ever come to Mississippi and Alabama and Florida right here in this area, if you ever get bored one day, which I know you don't because you stay busy, look at some of the prices we have here. You would be floored. I mean, after COVID, when employers was telling their employees you could work from home, it was great. And then when they found out they could work from home anywhere, we were busy. That was probably my busiest year. I've been doing this 16 years, and I'd actually had foot surgery. I was laid up from January till around March, and I was ready to go back to work. And then COVID hit. So I was like, darn. But I was busy. I was busy that year. I think it made people stop and look. And I got tickled because one lady, she called me. She said, Patrick, I love my kids more than anything. We need a bigger house. Me homeschooling my kids, and my husband is working out of the house as well. So everybody was at home. So a lot of people was like, we need more room, because it was more the kids. I mean, because like they needed their own space to stay on top of their skills or their schoolwork and stuff like that, homeschooling. And
we had the same here. There was a lot of shift during or like around COVID or after COVID a little bit where a lot of people, there was like a lot of work actually in 2022, 23. We had a lot of work because a lot of people did the additions. Like a lot of people did like ADUs. Like a lot of people were trying to get more space. A lot of people during COVID got their parents to live with them because like parents were somewhere far away. Mm-hmm. And now those parents are like still kind of going back and forth, right? So they needed more space. There was definitely like boom here too, like trying to get more office space, more living space, people like moving into bigger houses. Then we had a little bit in construction, I think, or like in work 2024 and 2025, and things are now kind of picking up again. And it's not, I mean, like at least our office is not even the fires that much. Like it's not even, that is not that much. I mean, it is, we have, but it's not the bulk of our business as you would expect, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
10,000 homes, like, burned down, you would expect that would be, but things are not going as fast as we thought they're going to go. And I don't know if it's like political situation, financial situation, because economy is a little bit dicey to
Mm-hmm.
people or like a private businesses, maybe like they think they need cash to like keep afloat and so on, or they just, tariffs too. I don't know, but definitely there was a lull and now it's picking up again. That's what I can feel. That's what I can
And
feel.
it
I mean,
seems like y'all have, I mean, like you said, y'all have beautiful weather all the time. So I can imagine that doesn't slow up your building. And here we have the rain coming through, so that may be off 2 or 3 days till everything dries up.
we do have rains, but they're very like, we didn't have rains for 7 years, for example. Like now we have them again. But like for 7 years, we didn't have rains at all. And also like, here when it rains, it does flood and we pump the water and it dries up pretty quickly and we just keep on raining. So we will have maybe like, depending on your side where you are, maybe 2 or 3 days like of stop, but like we still keep on going and we can protect our construction. But like construction goes all the time, right? And like, in other places in Europe, for example, like the summer is the prime time for construction. Here, like even summer kind of slows down a little bit because vacations, like people are chill, like 4th of July, Memorial Day, like kids are out of school and so on. So we really do, we build in Santa Barbara, we have to go and surf. So there might be a construction site because the wave is here. Nobody comes back. So things might like last longer there. So we are a little bit, we are kind of southern, like southern, in that way, mañana, like everything is chill, no drama. I mean, the weather helps. Like we don't feel like we are getting old because we don't have seasons, right? So at
Okay. Okay.
least I
I
feel
like
like,
that.
yeah, because like you don't have a reference. Like, was that like 222 or 219? Like, 'cause you don't have these winters, like, that you can cut.
Yeah. Well, time, it seemed like once I hit 50, time just sped up to about, it used to seem like I was going along, say 20, 30 miles an hour. Then I hit 50, I feel like I'm going 80 and 90 miles an hour and not in a good way.
Don't doubt. I'm 1 year away from 50, and I was like, things are going harder, like quicker because I have kids and I have teenagers now, so things are like speeding up. But I was just thinking about their summer like vacation. I was like, how is this short? Like it just feels like a couple of weeks. When I was a kid, like the summer took like 8 years or something.
Yeah, I mean, 'cause I want to say we had like 2.5 or almost 3 months off for summer.
But it felt like 8 years. Like now,
Yeah,
like
and
morning.
I can't keep up with the schools now because it's like they're back in or they're out, because everybody's doing the year round. What would be? I know you probably can't tell me. So I'm sure you've had some of the stars come in, and have you had stars? Can you say yeah?
Yeah, it's like we meet them. Like I was actually, it was really like funny. I'm not gonna say who, but he's like a big like rock star, and like he's actually calling me. Like he didn't even like write me, and then like he sent me an email, like because I was supposed to send him something, and I was like, that name is like kind of familiar, but like I didn't have time to Google him. Like it was like we were meeting at the construction site. And all of a sudden, like, we are like jumping walls to the, like, he's holding the chair while I'm like looking through the wall, like peeking, like, and he's a really sweet British guy, right? And he's like short. I'm like very tall. I'm like 6 feet tall. And I was like, so it's like, usually I'm like 6'2" because I have shoes and so on. So he's like very short than me, like very sweet guy, like very polite as British are. And then like I was like, we talked, like, we had the like, we visited the site, it was just two of us, like he calls the chair and like whatever. And like I come home, it's like, like let me see who I'm talking to. And I Google him, it's like, oh my God.
Oh wow, that's
I was like,
awesome.
he was like, he's, like, this woman, that woman, like, a total rock star, like, lifestyle. The way he's presenting on the scene has nothing to do with the guy I met. And at one point, he's like, I want a studio. I was like I'm an idiot. He's like, I was like, oh, I was like, yeah, I kind of want a drum. I was like, oh, do you drum? He was like, yeah, I do drum. And I was like, okay, and like he's a drummer, right? And I was like, you drum? He's like, yeah, that's my little hobby. I was like, well, I mean, like
you,
this
you got me think when you
multi-million property they were checking out. You actually made by little drumming. I didn't Google it because I didn't have time. It was so quick. Like I was traveling, I came back, I went to see him, and I didn't know why I didn't Google who I'm talking to.
I
He
love
came
it.
also, so I was like, he's good. Like I don't need to check if he's a creep or he's good. Like he came with the friends, so I'm like, I'm good. So I'm safe. And yeah.
Well, you said studio. The first thing that went in my head, I'm like, he wants a studio apartment and he's got that kind of money?
No. He wants a studio in his property, he wants a guest house and so on. So it was it was really, really, it was really interesting.
That's funny.
Yeah, it was funny. I was also because there are other things I met an actress in the cafe. I say hi because she's very plain in real life, and then she looked very familiar. And I come to the cafe every day. I say hi to a lot of people because I meet them and so on. So I say hi to her. She says hi back, and I walk away. And now because I'm not looking. I'm not obviously a fan because the way I said hi, we know each other. So now she's staring at me. Probably trying to figure out how she knows me. Am I a producer? Am I somebody she works with, right? Because I was hey, hi, how are you doing? And I walk away. And my husband was like, why is Amy Adams staring at you? I also had an actor, on the parking lot. He also looked familiar, and I talked to him, and I thought he was a parent from my school, and he had the whole conversation with me about our kids, and I walk away, and it was 2 days later, I was like, something's off. And I'm thinking, oh my God, that's him. And I Google, he doesn't have kids. He invented a whole kid, and he just went with it.
To start the conversation?
Hey, because he looked familiar. I was like, hey, hi, how are you doing? And he's out of my car. He's right there in the car. He's like, hey, how's your kid? Are you guys, going to be in a camp? Whatever the conversation I had as a parent. I was like, yeah, we're going, parent, what's your kid? I was like, yeah, my kid is Matt. Whatever. He invented a whole goddamn kid. I don't know. I think he was just funny or something.
That's weird. That people amaze me. People always amaze me. I worked at the casinos here in Mississippi when they opened, and I loved that job. And I met people, but I didn't know who they were because I didn't have cable. When I was at the casino, I wasn't at home a whole lot. I went home to sleep and get cleaned up and go to work, for the next day. But I went on break and come back, and the dealer was like, well, how is it? I'm like, what? They're like, you're dealing blackjack to those people off TV. I was like, who are they? I had no idea. And he kept on. I was like I said, I didn't have cable or HBO. So it was the Sopranos. I had a whole table full of the Sopranos playing $5 blackjack. I had no idea who they were. I'm like, I had no idea. I didn't. I just, didn't make any big deal, didn't change anything. They were all fun and having a good time and talking. I had that one. I did. And then
that's funny.
One of the country singers, it was Blake Shelton, I think. Yella. He was on my table. His whole group was on my table. They were driving through, and they stopped to play for a little bit. And it was just when they were first starting to get out. This was early 90s, and he was riding around. He said, do you know this song? And he kept talking about it. I was like, yeah, it's Trick Pony. I like them. They're good. And he's like, I can't believe this. I beat them. I'm number one, and you know them, and you don't know me. And I said, well, I'll tell you what. I will go to my sister's house and watch CMT so I can figure out who you are. But it's and a lot of people was just so mellow. That job was incredible. Well, tell everybody how they can reach you. And I hope we do this again. I love talking with you. We're going to do it again.
I was a little bit worried. Will I understand everything you're asking? Because I have problems with English sometimes, especially with the accents, Southerners and so on. Am I going to understand slang? Am I until I think 3 weeks ago, I was wrongly pronouncing poor. It should be poor, and I'm constantly saying poor. And my ex-husband always thought that my mistake in English are huge, so he never fixes them. So I was a little bit worried, but I was okay, I understood everything. I'm good. I'm okay. Like, if they wanna, like, my office name is Archicraft. It's on the back. It's archicraft.co is our website. We are Archicraft US on Instagram. I assume you're gonna put, like, all the info under the video once it comes out, so they can find us there. If anyone has any questions, if anyone wants to, like, have a coffee when they're in LA or want to invest in LA,
Yeah, there you go.
There is a lot of opportunities now to build nice things. Let me know. Happy to help.
I love that. I was looking through some of the pictures and everything, and I popped Frank Lloyd Wright popped in my head when I was started looking, and the pictures, it just, because a lot of his designs are just for back then were amazing, and they're still amazing. But it made me think of him, and I had thought about that in years. Well,
I broke into his house once.
Really?
Yeah, like there's one house in the hills, and like we were just walking and the gate was open, and we always wanted to go and see the house. And like we walked in and the gate closes behind us and we can't get out. And now like me and my friend were just standing there, we were like just trespassing. And the guy comes out like that is taking care of the property. And he's like, what are you guys doing here? I was like, oh, we walked in, we can't get out now. I'm so sorry for trespassing. We were just curious. I'm an architect. My friend is an art director. Like we are like fans of architecture. We always wanted to see the house. And he's like, come and have a tour.
Nice.
So we actually like had the one-on-one tour with him. And like we saw the house, like inside and so on. So that was a break-in,
Well, I'm going to play.
Than when I stole a car in Canada, but that's a whole other story.
We're going to save that for our next visit. I'm going to plan for my 65th.
I can give you a tip how to steal a car in Canada and nothing happens to you.
I went and tried to get fingerprinted last year for my carry permit for my gun, and 4 people could not fingerprint me. I had to go back to get fingerprinted, and that's when they told me, you should just go rob a bank because we can't fingerprint you. This is ridiculous. And I didn't know, but I started noticing like my phones and stuff like that. I have to keep smashing it. And then somebody said it's called ghost finger. And
you're the same person. Like my friend also has that. She's like a doctor and she's like moving from LA to Illinois, like to get there. She got a job in Chicago and like she had to get fingerprinted because they have to do background check. She has like her license in Illinois. 5 times they like fingerprinted him. They say she doesn't have fingerprints. Yeah. What is going on with all you people?
Right? And what's really bad is when you're sitting there trying to get the screen to work. It's crazy. It's crazy. All right, I'm gonna plan for my 65th.
Yeah,
I'm gonna come and meet you.
That's like problem.
I've enjoyed it, and we're going to definitely do this again. And my 65th birthday, I'm going to make a trip to LA, if not sooner. I want to do the train. I want to come out on the Amtrak, and I want to come to LA, and then I want to drive to Vegas because it's like 3 or 4 hours, and just drive to Vegas and then fly home. I've never did a long train ride like that. It's something I really want to do.
And like it's interesting. I did them in Europe a lot because we do use trains a lot. It's just like trains are here like expensive and it takes forever. The country is so huge. So it's like you don't get anywhere in 5 hours.
No, not at all. Wow.
Oh, like 10 hours to Utah or something. Like, just like so far. But like, yeah, no, like, if you want to come, like, I'm happy to take you around and show you.
Yeah, cool. I want to go to that house. Maybe the gate will be open. We can sneak in there.
Yeah.
I love it.
I know the guy who bought it now. I know the guy. He also bought the house. He sold his business for, he had a CBD business and he sold it and he bought a bunch of like modern houses or like, historical houses in LA, and he bought the house from my friends too.
Oh, wow.
And he was going to move out in 3 days. Like he basically did no inspection, no contingencies, like just gave them cash. And he was like, but you have to leave in 3 days.
You tell your friends out there what kind of prices I got in Mississippi and Alabama. They go Florida on the water. If anybody's looking for a second home, oh yeah, we can definitely second, third, fourth, fifth. We'll hook up.
They bought the castle in France. They moved from like they sell their little like house in the hills that they bought like for $450 like 15 years ago. and they bought and they sold it for 1.1, I think, and they bought the castle in France that they're now fixing.
Wow, that's got to be beautiful.
It's a lot of work. I would never do it. Like, it's a lot of work, and it's like, it's a money pit. Like, getting a property is that historical. It's a money pit, but it's beautiful. Like, it's a historic monument. Like, you can't build around it. Like, they have like Roman ramparts. You know, they used to have like a ditch around. Like, you know, their gate like used to be fall down bridge. They still have mechanism. You know, it's. They have catacombs, like they have stuff under that they don't even know, that they know there is stuff under, like, but they don't know what. They need to scan like the property, but they have parts of like catacombs. They have like a guy previous, like, it's crazy, but it's a money pit. It's like, it's just, they have 2 masons working on the property full time here now, just to keep everything not from fall apart. They didn't build anything new. They're just like keeping stuff in order, like that. But it's that big. You know,
putting band-aids on it when it probably is ready for the big overhaul.
Little band-aids. They were like, but it takes them like 2 weeks to cut the grass on the property. It takes them 2 months to cut the trees.
Oh, wow.
Go to like yearly. It's huge. And, but they like it. Like, they didn't want to live in LA anymore. It was too much for them. Parking, congestion, people, America, whatever. They were more at that point. They just moved to France, and they're having a very, very village life. Where you go and buy veggies on Thursday, where the bank is open 2 hours a week, where the milk is like, you can go milk and cheese on Fridays. If you're out of your milk, your neighbor is not going to sell you that milk. Just like, I see the milk there, just give it to me. He's like, no, come on Friday.
Wow.
It's like a very style, and they love it. They love it.
It takes a strong person to be able to stick with that and get through all that. Renovations are hard. It's hard on couples, period. But I can imagine a castle and that kind of money, you know?
It's like literally 2 masons, like full-time job. And they're like, so they kept their US jobs because they're both remote. So they kept their business, and they like working also 8 hours a day on the property. That is like, so they work, and they sleep.
That's too much work for me.
Their job starts 6 p.m. because of the time difference, right? So it's like, it's not for everybody, and it's not for the. No.
All right. Well, I'm gonna get us out of here, and we're gonna do this again in, say, a few months.
Bye,
buddy.
Bye.
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 Thank y'all again for taking the time to come along my venture with me. I am Patrick Merrill, and I hope you have been lifted. If not, let me know. We'll figure out a way. There's always a way. Thank y'all again for watching. Please like, share, and subscribe, and tell your friends. Y'all have a great day.